Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. Um, the chapter that I chose to report on is chapter 8, All God's Children. And the cultural hegemony that is displayed in this book is our judicial system. And it shows in my character's story. The character that I chose was Antonio Nunez, a young boy from South Central Los Angeles. There he lived with his parents and his siblings, and his neighborhood had a lot of gang activity to the point where Antonio's mom would have to force her children to the floor because of the gunshots in their neighborhood. Well, one day Antonio was out riding his bike and he was shot and sustained multiple wounds. His brother heard the scream and ran outside to his aid and was shot in the head and killed himself, or he was shot and killed. This affected Antonio in a mighty way. And after his recovery in the hospital, his mom sent him away to live with some family members because of his struggles. There he made great gains. His cousin's husband was working with Antonio closely, and he saw progress. Well, this is where our judicial system steps in. And let me back up a little bit. Antonio, after he got out of the hospital, feared for his life and his safety, and he got his hands on a gun for self-defense. He didn't do anything with that gun, but he was caught with it where he was put on probation. And because of this, his parents sent him away to his family members, and that's where he went, and he made some great gains with his trauma. And then our judicial system steps in and forces him to move back because of his probation. And this is where it all happens. He gets in connection with the wrong guys, and they have a scheme to kidnap somebody for ransom, and they end up getting in some kind of altercation. A high-speed chase is taking place. There's a gray van, and I believe it's officers who are chasing them, and Antonio's given a gun, and they get caught. Well, they get sent to jail. And so that is the story on Antonio. However, I wanted to point out on page 153, by 2010, Florida had sentenced more than 100 children to life imprisonment without parole for non-homicidal offenses, several of whom were 13 years old at the time of the crime. All of the youngest condemned children, 13 or 14 years of age, were Black or Latino. Florida had the largest population in the world of children condemned to die in prison for non-homicides. Disturbing. I also want to point out on page 155, it says that in urban neighborhoods across the United States, Black and brown boys routinely have multiple encounters with the police, even though many of these children have done nothing wrong. They are targeted by police, presumed guilty, and suspected by law enforcement of being dangerous or engaged in criminal activity. The random stops, questioning, and harassment dramatically increases the risk of arrest for petty crimes. Antonio and his 27-year-old co-defendant, because mind you, when he was approached by gentlemen, they were much older than him. He was 13. Now, he goes to trial. They're both found guilty. And so now remember, he's back in California because our judicial system brought him back, although he was making great gains. It says, under California law, A juvenile has to be at least 16 years old to be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole for murder, page 156. But there is no minimum age for kidnapping. So the Orange County judge sentenced Antonio to imprisonment until death, asserting that, one, he was dangerous, a gang member, that he would never be rehabilitated despite his difficult background and absence of any significant criminal history. The judge sent him to California's most dangerous, overcrowded adult prison. At 14, Antonio became the youngest person in the United States to be condemned to die in prison for a crime in which no one was physically injured. There you have it. Cultural hegemony at its best. He didn't have an extensive criminal history, one, and this little blurb about him not being able to be rehabilitated, he was being rehabilitated before he was forced to come back because of his trauma. Yeah. Disturbing, but this is what's happening. Sad. This was a great book. Again, that was chapter 8, All God's Children. Thank you.